Well, first of all, we have to deal with a practical issue, the booze. Amanda, shall we leave it for the end? Do you need it? Yeah. Okay, so we are coming to the end of another very intense and I hope interesting conference. To try and get some feel for the impression that you were taking home with you, during the lunch break, I conducted a survey on a scientifically selected sample of the participants. I had an incredible variety of responses, which obviously reflect the great variety of interest that you represent, that you bring to the conference. It went, of course, from considerations about convergence or where we are on the reasons why we are not where we should be to the importance of fiber, even for mobile networks, to spectrum. Somebody mentioned the idea of virtualization of spectrum. But then I conducted a statistical analysis of the responses and came to the conclusion that there were two ideas that I think should be underlined. The first one is the speed of change. In the world of telecommunications, we've always known that things change very, very fast. But it's remarkable how this point was driven home during this conference. Think of Randall Stephenson telling us how the world has changed in the 6 years since he has taken his job, his position with AT&T. Of Rangus Algame telling us 90% of all the data that exists in the world have been created in the last 2 years. Of Bob Pepper coming once again with his incredible figures. I'm a macroeconomist, so I'm used to deal with rates of growth of 1 or 2%, rates of inflation 3-4%. These are the sort of figures that are meaningful to me, plus obviously comma. And he comes in and talks about 66% compounded annual rate of growth, 89% for machine to machine. And he has been doing that for a number of years. But over the last year, he has also come and told us that he was right, that when they look at their forecast, they were right. If anything, they were on the conservative side. So this is really something that is surprising, even for people who should be used to this. This point was also perceived by the regulators during their seminar, and there was even somebody who philosophically said, well, we regulators, we're used to that. We are always running after the reality. So what's different about telecommunications, this is true also of other things. Be as it may, it is clearly an important element. The other idea that was mentioned was the importance of the emerging nations, of the emerging world. It was incredible to see how different the experiences were, but also how novel, how new they were compared with some of the things that we know among the early adopters as they were defined. Clearly, there is the perception that even new technologies play a different role in different environments. In some cases, they are more disruptive. In other cases, they are not that disruptive. And you can even imagine that in the emerging world, maybe new technologies are picking up so fast because they're not displacing other services, other facts. They're not crowding out other services, but they're just filling a gap. Think, for instance, about mobile payments. In the advanced countries, you typically have a rather sophisticated financial system, but then in many emerging markets, that doesn't exist, and mobile technologies fill in a gap that is there. But in any case, this is a very important aspect, and fittingly, this is an aspect that is well covered by the IIC because of its wide membership, because of its interest in what goes on all over the world. This is about the conference. You will receive information about the materials that will be made available to you. We shall be asking for permission to make available the slides, to even put some interventions on YouTube. Information will be given to you in due time. Let me now open a commercial about the IIC. We have a number of other events coming up. On the 3rd and 4th of December, we shall be in Washington, hosted by Verizon, for the traditional fall-winter TMF. I hope that many of you will be able to join us there. Then in the spring, we shall have again another TMF in Brussels. As every spring, it will be March or April. The dates have not been fixed yet. We are even thinking of organizing the summer TMF, perhaps in Miami, with a view of attracting as many participants from Latin America as possible. This is a project we're still working on. It's not finalized yet. And next year, the annual conference and the IRF will be held more or less at the same time as this conference in Vienna, in Austria. And we will hope to attract as many participants as possible from Eastern Europe. So these are the activities at the global level of the IIC. But of course, there are other activities conducted at the national level by the national chapters, and we are in the process of strengthening them or creating new ones. You will find all the information on the website. We have also been doing some work to improve the output of the IIC. Over the last year, work has gone into improving the website. For those of you who have had a chance of visiting it, significant improvements have been made and more will be made. We have revamped Intermedia. We have the editor here. And among other things, we have tried not only to make Intermedia more attractive, but also to link it better with the events organized by the IIC. We are also present on the social media, on Twitter and LinkedIn. And we've also introduced a new service that you will discover called Regulatory Watch, some information about the developments that might be of interest to the members. And this brings me to the last point about the IIC. When we organize events like this one, we're obviously very thankful to the sponsors who have helped us. I'll mention them in a second. But the core of the activities of the IIC are financed by you, by the members. And also, the inputs for our activities come from the members. Whenever we organize our seminars, whenever we organize our conferences, we draw heavily on the advice that we get from the members. So we need to have more members because that brings more revenue. But we also need to have more members and from a variety of companies of interest in order to have a better feel for what concerns the TMT community. So this is my part about the IIC. I now need to make 4 announcements, practical announcements. The first is to thank the sponsors who have contributed to this conference: Qualcomm, Disney, Microsoft, Telecom Italia, Cisco, the Berkeley Research Group, and Watson, Fairley, and Williams. But I need also to thank the staff of the IIC who has made this conference possible. First of all, Andrea, the Director General, Amanda, I don't know where she is, the Director of Programs, Mark, the Editor of Intermedia, Joe and Laura, who have done all the groundwork, and the people who have helped us in the conference itself: Becky, Mike, Brian, John. Thank you very much to all of you for the work that you have done, and please join me in a round of applause for it. And finally, 2 more announcements about things that will happen immediately now and tomorrow. All the members of the IIC are welcome to join us in the general meeting of the organization that will take place in 10-15 minutes, one floor up in the Pepys room. And tomorrow, we will have a seminar on data protection called Creating a User-Centered Data Ecosystem. It's, again, one floor up, registration at 8:30. So thanks to all of you, and I hope to see you soon in other IIC events. Thank you.